Have my deco. All right. Good evening, everyone. 7 p.m. I'd like to call you all to order on September 14th, 2020. Obviously, because of COVID-19 restrictions, our meeting tonight is going to be held virtually via Zoom. Public comments for this meeting were accepted in advance by mail and email. These comments will be read into the public record shortly. If you would like to submit a public comment at our next meeting, please visit www.merriam.org and follow the instructions listed there. I probably don't need to remind you of our obligations to each other. Raise your hands, speak clearly, slowly, etc. If we can't hear you, we'll let you know. And City Clerk will ask her to call the roll.
Okay. Mayor Sissom.
Here.
Councilmember DeBold.
Here.
Councilmember Hands. Here. Councilmember Caldwell.
Here.
Councilmember Naff.
Here.
Councilmember Neal.
Here.
Councilmember Pape.
Here.
Councilmember Silvers.
Here.
Councilmember Yodridge. Here.
Very good. We're going to use this time to go to public comments. Julie, would you please read any public comments that were submitted in advance into the record?
Okay. Our first public comment is from Al Frisbee, 10121 West 59th Terrace. He has asked that I read the abstract from the Journal of Infectious Diseases dated April 16th of 2020. It says, cases of coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, have been reported in more than 200 countries. Thousands of healthcare workers have been infected and outbreaks have occurred in hospitals, aged care facilities, and prisons. The World Health Organization has issued guidelines for contact and droplet precautions for healthcare workers caring for suspected COVID-19 patients. Whereas the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has initially recommended airborne precautions. The 1 to 2 meter rule of spatial separation is central to droplet precautions and assumes that large droplets do not travel larger than 2 meters or 6 feet. We aimed to review the evidence for horizontal distance traveled by droplets and the guidelines issued by the WHO, CDC, and European Center for Disease Prevention and Control on respiratory protection for COVID-19. We found that the evidence based for current guidelines is sparse, and the available data do not support the 1 to 2 meter, 6 to 3 feet rule of spatial separation. Of 10 students on horizontal droplet distance, 8 showed droplets traveled more than 2 meters, 6 feet. In some cases, up to 8 meters, 26 feet. Several studies of severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2, support aerosol transmission, and one study documented virus at a distance of 4 meters or 13 feet from the patient. Moreover, evidence suggests that infections cannot neatly be separated into dichotomy, I'm sorry, I don't know the word, of droplet versus airborne transmission routes. Available studies also show that SARS-CoV-2 can be detected in the air and remain viable in the 3 hours after aerosolization. The weight of combined evidence supports airborne precautions for the occupational health and safety of health workers treating patients with COVID-19. That was the first comment. Our second comment is Christopher Leach, 8600 West 60th Street. It says, dear members of the council, I am writing to express appreciation of and support for the continued operation of the Merriam Community Center. Since opening day, I have been a frequent user of the fitness facilities at the center, visiting 4 days per week for my regular routine. Like many in the community, I am easing into activities that were once routine after months of sheltering at home because of the pandemic. While we are far from the end of the crisis, I see that we are learning as we go on how to navigate in social and public settings, with guidance from health professionals coupled with our own common sense. I approached the restart of my gym schedule with trepidation because I wanted to be certain that there was not unsafe overcrowding and that the facility was properly cleaned. On both counts, the Merriam Community Center has my vote of confidence. It is well managed, calm, and very reasonable atmosphere. The machines and stations are properly spaced, and there is clear signage encouraging us to use every other machine so we are not too cozy. The space is well ventilated, staff are cleaning and wiping constantly, and there are medical grade wipes available for us to wipe our own machines and equipment. Visitors wear our masks even during workouts. I add that I work for a public-facing county agency and that our staff has been deeply and frequently trained on public space hygiene protocols. The center is meeting all these standards, and I am confident returning week after week. I also give myself permission to leave the center at any time if I think things look too busy for my personal comfort. That hasn't happened yet. While we must remain vigilant in the face of the wily microbial enemy that is COVID-19, I am in favor of maintaining the current open public hours for the community center. And then we have a public comment from Sam Mateer, 8515 West 57th Street. It says, this morning, I sent a detailed email to all Merriam City Council members describing the hazards of attracting feral cats to the community with open feeding by residents is creating for the community. Number one, cats carry diseases transmittable to humans. 2, physical injury to neighbors that are pulled down while walking their dog that yanks the leash to chase a cat running at large. 3, driving hazards on Mackey and Johnson Drive from cats running across the road. 4, influx of diseased raccoons and other wild animals that are attracted to open feeding. 5, legal liability, both body and property, to residents feeding wild animals and to the city from the hazards identified above, which are not mitigated. I also offered some solutions to the problem. My hope is that this issue will be placed on the agenda for discussion at a future city council meeting. Okay, and I have one more public comment. I have to read it from email, so bear with me, please. Okay. Let's see, I think she signed it at the bottom. Let's see here. This is from Mary Ann Heil. She lives at 5829 Mackey Street. Okay. It says, dear Merriam City Council members, a few weeks ago, a neighbor informed my husband and me verbally that we were harboring feral cats because we were feeding them. We are law-abiding citizens, and that concerned us. This was the first time we had heard a word about harboring. We thought we were being kind to stray cats. Recently, my husband and I received a letter with the Merriam City Code concerning sections about harboring cats. All of the neighborhood cats, except one, have a clipped ear. The clipped ear means these cats have been neutered and released. They have received a rabies shot. I do not have the paper for any cat, but others have made a concerted effort to get these cats neutered and given the rabies shot. Plans are in the works for the 2 others, but they fell through when COVID came along. Now I've heard one of these cats died by accident. So there is only one left that has not been neutered. When he can be taken to a vet and neutered, the population problem will be taken care of. In the 2 years that I have been aware of these cats, I have not heard them fighting or making loud noises. I have not noticed they are a public nuisance as defined in City Code Section 8-80. Section 8-79 means to me that an owner/harborer cannot let his cat out of doors. How can it be controlled if it's not on a leash? Keeping an outdoor cat indoors is very difficult and I'm sure stressful to the cat. I think it is almost nearly impossible to do this with a cat that has been roaming free for a couple of years. I have been trying to figure out what to do. I have called the vet in Mission we used when we owned our cats. Yes, if one can get a clip-eared community cat in a carrier, they will work with us to give it a rabies shot so it can be licensed. First, I need to get my husband to agree to it, then communicate with the neighbors to let them know our plans in case any of them have the same idea, and then get the cat in a carrier and take him to the vet. If all this could be accomplished, there would still be the issue of trying to turn the outdoor cat into an indoor cat. I would like to study up on what other possibilities might be considered. It might be a much better idea to work with alley cat alleys and other groups whose mission is to protect the community cats. Briefly, here is what Alley Cat Alley has to say about community cats. Community cats are at home outdoors. Cats living outdoors is nothing new. Community cats are safe members of the community. Community cats have a place in the natural environment. Community cats can't live outdoors. I want to speak for myself and my husband. Especially during this time of social distancing, these cats have been a bright spot in our days. The thought of them being picked up and taken away with their likely prospects of being put down makes me extremely sad. I believe we are all connected, people, animals, and plants, and that being kind to each other is the best way to live, and that includes being kind to animals too. I have been looking for someone who could say this much better than I can. This quote is from Leo Tolstoy, came on my Facebook. Nothing can make our life or the lives of other people more beautiful than perpetual kindness. If the City Council approves further investigation into the possibility of community cats, I would be glad to do research, writing letters to all the residents on our stretch of Mackey Street to see if they would be willing to allow these cats to remain on our streets, attended by those who are attending to them now, for the sake of kindness to animals. Thank you for listening to my thoughts. And that was the last public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. You may have the most active role in our council meeting this evening, so thank you for that.
Yep.
We will move our meeting to the consent agenda, and we only have one item on the consent agenda this evening, and that's consider approval of the minutes of the City Council meeting held on August 24, 2020. So I'll entertain a motion and a second for that approval, unless there's further discussion. Bob?
Yeah, I'd make a motion, Mayor, that we approve consent agenda item number 1.
Jason, you want to handle the second?
Yes, I second that.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
Councilmember DeBolt?
Aye.
Councilmember Hands?
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell?
Aye.
Councilmember Naff?
Aye.
Councilmember Neal?
Aye.
Councilmember Pape?
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers?
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Good. Next, we'll move to the mayor's report. And tonight, we only have one item under the mayor's report. And this is a confirmation of an appointment of a young man, Evan Quinley, to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board for a term expiring December 31st, 2020. Just to let you all know, we had an opening. I asked Director Slocum to look around, see if she had someone that she might be interested in notifying me about, and she did have. Mr. Quinley was someone who had expressed some interest, and in her email, I can read it. I'll paraphrase here a little bit. He's a sophomore at Shawnee Mission North. Is Anna on this evening? I don't think she is she?
Yeah, she's on this evening. So is Evan.
Okay. Anna, did you want to take over this? I don't want to steal your show here, but.
Yeah, she wasn't going to talk, so let me.
Okay, well, let me do it then. That's
okay.
what I kind of thought.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Evan's a sophomore, Shawnee Mission North, and a neighbor. In fact, he lives about 2-3 blocks north of me right here. So he's a Merriam resident. He served on the STUCO student council and is interested in learning about local government. His father is a retired Army and U.S. Postal Service employee. His mom is an autism coach through Shawnee Mission School District. He has an older brother who's currently attending Johnson County Community College in hopes of becoming a firefighter or EMT. And from listening to Anna talk about him, and certainly from the information she provided, I would say he's an excellent candidate for this position. And so I'm, I guess, offering him to you for appointment. And if I could get someone to make a motion in a second, I appreciate it. Chris Hands.
Yes, I'm so amazed to find out that Evan is already a sophomore in high school. So with that, I move that the council confirm the appointment of Evan Quinley to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for the term expiring December 31st, 2020.
And Mr. Caldwell for a second.
And I'd like to second that.
Motion made and second. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Hands.
Wholeheartedly, aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Knapp.
Aye.
Councilmember Neal.
Aye.
Councilmember Pape.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember DeBold.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Very good. Mr. Silvers, did you have a question?
I just had a quick question. I see his term would end December 31st of 2020. If he decides he wants to continue, what's the process?
Well, we provide them that opportunity. We usually reach out and see if there's still an interest to serve. And if there is, and there are no objections by myself or members of the council, then it's kind of an automatic thing, generally speaking. So, and again, we're very happy, Evan, that you're here. I know you can hear us, and we look forward to the fine work that you do with our Park and Rec board. They're an active board, and they're very important. And in the last 2 or 3 years, an extremely active board. So they're going to benefit from your involvement, I'm sure. Let's move past the mayor's report and move into finance and administration. Much like previous Zoom meetings, we're going to follow the agenda by asking staff to make presentations, and we only have one item. We'll hold all our questions till the end of the presentation, and then we'll get the opportunity to ask questions as a council, and you know the procedure for that. So I'll turn this over to Meredith to provide us a staff update on the community center.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Get started. All right, you can all see my presentation. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so like previous months, I'm here. It's the first meeting of the month, giving my council update. This is probably one of the last ones that you'll get from me as we are getting close to finally wrapping this project up. Budget update. We remain on budget for this project. So $36.6 million is the total cost. It still looks like we will have some money at the end of this to return to the city out of our contingencies, which is great news. Project schedule, as you all know, the building is open. The good news is the indoor pool is about to open as well. It is full of water and currently being balanced. And we're getting the air units up and running this week. So we're just around the corner from getting that open, which will be really exciting. And then I thought tonight I would share some pictures of what's happening inside the space if you haven't had the opportunity to get over there in the last, week. We've had some big changes even just in that time period. On Friday, we got the bulk of this last shipment of furniture we've been waiting on delivered. So that's the lobby furniture, which is really exciting to see. Some chairs for the conference room and just some other pieces throughout the building, which is great. It's starting to really complete the space, which is really fun to see. As I mentioned earlier, water is in the indoor pool, which is really exciting. So you can see the features are on. They're working on getting everything balanced and the air handling units turned on. And so the space is balanced. And that's something we worked a lot on during design, is to make sure that it was a really comfortable experience when you were inside the natatorium. And so getting this all up and running is a big milestone to hit. These are some pictures of the outdoor pool. So while we had water in the pool, we took the opportunity to invite a couple of families into the space and brought in a photographer to take some photos so that we had those ready to go for next time, or for next year when it's time to start marketing things. And you can see that the kids really enjoyed these features. The picture, you can see the diving board picture, some lap lanes, one of the water features in the zero depth entry area, and then the zip line bungee situation that you can go out on over the water and then fall off on is a lot of fun as well. As Brian mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we have grass in the courtyard, which is really exciting. It really changes the outdoor aesthetic of the space to see that area filled in with grass. If you drove by today, you saw that we have some of these final pieces of sidewalk are being poured and installed right now. And then we're just wrapping up some landscaping. A couple of notes about landscaping is, yes, we do know that there are some dead plants already. Those are under warranty and the landscape company will come and install new ones for us. We've gotten some questions about that. And then I just heard word this afternoon from the library. We're going to work with them to put a coming soon sign on this grassy area so people know what's going to be installed there or built there in the next couple of years. We've gotten some questions about what's happening there, and so we just want to let people who maybe haven't been following along this whole time know that we are planning another phase of the project. On that note, on Thursday, this coming Thursday, the Board of County Commissioners is set to approve the final agreement that you all have already approved with the library. So once that happens, we'll be ready to work with them on what that project looks like moving forward. And then just kind of a run through of the updated opening schedule. I just updated this based on a slide that you've seen before. So like I've mentioned, we're finishing up the natatorium. Beginning of October, we have all of our swim programming slated to begin. And then October 4th is the last day to purchase charter membership. Some other things that we're still working on inside the building. We are adding some additional paint and graphics to the space. Now that we've had the opportunity to move in and get furniture in and to really see what the lighting looks like, etc. We're able to identify some walls and areas that we want more color and graphics. So those will be put in the next couple of weeks. And then we're also still waiting on the public art to be delivered, and that is on schedule for the end of this month. So in the next couple of weeks, that should be arriving, which will be a great feature in the courtyard. As usual, this will be posted on the website tomorrow. But I am happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Raise your hand if you got any questions. Any questions? Got the opportunity to go visit the community center here last week, and they have a lot of the art inside, if not all of it, most of it up. There is some new pieces in there. You got to get a chance to go look at them. It's quite a nice place. Mr. DeBold?
Yeah, I wanted to get some clarification from Meredith. She said that the zip line was exciting. Was that based on experience or just your?
No.
Okay. Just checking. I
wanted to looks of excitement in the children's faces.
Yeah, she wouldn't let us take any pictures of that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. There's no documentation of that.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Meredith.
Yeah.
We're going to move into community development, public works, and CIP, and get a CIP update. Jim McDonald, would you please provide us with that update?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening, I have your September CIP update. We have the 2020 storm drainage and road improvements on Johnson Drive and Maston was combined in one project. The Maston Street project is substantially complete. It's scheduled to receive sod this week, and then that will be the last thing we have for the Maston project. Johnson Drive, all the substandard curb, ADA ramps, sidewalks, driveway approaches have all been replaced. The narrow islands, we replaced the curbs and the islands and the bricks all received stamped concrete. Those were all completed. The large island on Slater, we anticipate receiving the plantings by the 1st of October for that. We have some new trees and some hardy plants that we're putting in that island to decorate it up to make it look pretty nice. The milling operations just started last night on Johnson Drive. They anticipate that'll be done by Wednesday morning. They're working overnight milling up the asphalt. And the paving shall start shortly after that. They're looking at probably Wednesday afternoon. They're going to start paving there on Johnson Drive. And the contract completion date for Johnson Drive is October 15th, and looks like we're meeting that goal, no problem. The next thing I have is the 55th Street storm drainage improvements. That project is complete. It took them a little over a week. Everything was underground. We're just waiting on the video inspection before we can bring the final payment to council. I'm here to answer any questions you have on these items or any other public works items that you may have.
Mr. Silver, you had a question?
Jim, I just wanted to say that I passed the new island on Johnson Drive many times this weekend, and they look great.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jim, could you tell us about the water main break there on Merriam Drive?
Yeah, there was the little bit that I know, it's the water main break, and it's the same line. There's been 3 patches on that water main. It's just kind of moved down in that area. It's one of those things, I think, when we decide to do the project on Merriam Drive from Johnson to 55th, that we will ask Water One if they want to, if they can include that project of replacing that water line before we do those major projects there.
Do we have any damage to city property in that main break?
Just the normal, they have some curbs and some pavers that are between the sidewalk and the curb and the road itself, but they're all scheduled to be replaced, but that was it.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Director McDonald?
Hey, Jim, could you, this is Chris, could you give an update on the tree sale? Well, we've got you on the line that we had everybody pick up their trees 2 weekends ago, I believe.
Yep. That turned out to be a really good success. We had 23 residents that purchased 53 trees. I think it was about 12 different varieties that they selected. We had, I believe, about 15 to 17 available, and they picked 12. So we know what's not popular, so we won't include those next year. We were able to provide many of the residents, all the residents actually that came, with tree care guidelines, tree planting, dig safe information. We kind of have little grab bags for them. And it seemed to be a success. We worked from 8 to 11, and the last person was there about 10 to 11. The one thing we might put on there is if you order trees, bring a larger vehicle. We had several residents that ordered some large trees and expect them to go in a smart car or something like that. So we had to help get those to their place. But other than that, it was a success.
Was Bob Pape involved in that somehow, or no?
Not this time. No.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry. Bob?
Yeah, Mayor. I just thought, Jim, could you tell us? I know we have one more meeting beforehand, but is the large item pickup still on board for October, and what are those dates?
Yeah, it's the third full week of October, and we don't plan on canceling that, so it's going to be the 19th through the 23rd is the large item pickup, and we're moving forward, rain or shine.
Okay, thank you.
I would expect you might end up, you probably already anticipate this, but with a larger than normal amount to pick up since we didn't do anything in the spring. I know I've been collecting stuff, so.
Yeah, we're our guys know we may end up moving into the next week to pick everything up, but however long it takes, we'll get everything. So
good, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, Mr. Engel, do you have any staff items this evening?
Only item I have, Mayor, is just a update to the council that likely at the next meeting we will have the Track B termination agreement for Richard Webb, the Infinity lot to the lot Track B to the south of his property. We will also have the Planning Commission item that was approved by Planning Commission at the beginning of the month for the improvements on that site that Randy Reed has kind of been shepherding through the planning process. So both of those items will be coming forward in 2 weeks. Well, we will send out an update on that, and clearly we'll have an action form. If there's any questions or confusion about that, or anybody needs a refresher, please feel free to reach out to me, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you an update on that, although we will give you an update as part of the item on that Monday. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Chris Hands.
Yeah, I drove by, it's the middle of last week, so the back half of the Irene B. French Center was down, but I know in one of your admin reports you talked about residents wanting pieces of stone, and I never heard how that all went down, so.
Yeah, so the city's stone is at Public Works. I have a picture of that I'd be happy to share. My understanding, and Jim might be able to jump on and jump back in and validate that my understanding is we put a pallet over at the marketplace that had stone on it. At least that was the last thing I heard we were going to do to accommodate that. Jim, is that what had occurred, or did that change?
Well, we actually stuck 2 pallets over at the marketplace. However, they disappeared overnight. So we ended up collecting some more and have them at Public Works. And Anna's going to champion that with any residents that are looking to get a memento. We'll get them there so they're just not free to taking.
Yeah, we had, thanks, Jim. Yeah, we had several folks that we had a list of people that had specifically reached out to a variety of us on staff. So we were going to try to accommodate that as we work our way, through all of that material to make sure that they got what they requested. So we'll make sure that the people that have specifically requested it get their stone. And then, as Jim said, it sounds like we're going to make sure that people, if they want to reach out to us, we'll make sure that if they want a stone, we're not going to let them. There'll be no retaining walls worth of stone. Apparently someone already took enough for that, but yeah, from what we have, we'll make sure that if anybody wants a keepsake, we'll make sure they get it.
Very good. Good question. All right. Hearing no further, unless I see a hand, let me scan back and forth here. Nope. Okay. Well, there's no new business that I'm aware of. So I'll go ahead and ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion and second. Bob?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
And do I have a second on that? Anybody? Hello? Chris?
I second that.
Okay. Motion second, Madam Clerk.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So long, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
evening.
Bye, pal.
That was
Stay
almost a
safe.
record, Mayor.